Karandrin tree, oh Karandrin tree. Hello, everybody. Merry Karandrinmas to you. My name is Kevin Manus Pinnings, also known as Cracked Palantir, and I will be your host and game master for this episode 116 of Brise's Tale, our last one of the year. And as always, my good buddy Max is here to play the lovely and talented Paladin Brise. Max, say hello to the lovely people.
Hey everybody! Hope you're doing well. Hope you're getting in the festive spirit. This is our as Kevin said, our Christmas themed episode. So you'll find lots of all of our characters are dressed in Christmas hats and attire, right? You just have to imagine it, though.
You just have to assume that it's any attire that we don't mention is ugly Christmas sweaters. It's all
the elves have been reduced in height. They're now
they're the Norse style elves as opposed to the Fae style elves of other games that don't bear mentioning due to lack of quality. But yes, this will be our last one of the year, and our holiday season. So we'll be back January 10th, and ready to start 2024 up and roaring. So we'll see how roaring based on the end of this episode. So Max, we had kind of a bit of a dilemma that you are facing back in Miagral's Keep. I'll pop that up there because you've revealed, sort of in a stumbling, sort of inadvertent way, you've revealed that you've had some dealings with a necromancer, and now what happened?
Well, Kevin, I'll tell you what happened was
I'll tell you
what happened. Well, for people who've caught up with the last couple episodes, right, we've had Volshad, one necromancer who had cast a curse on me, or I had stumbled into their curse, and they had kind of influenced it such that it was generally like sickness and malaise. And potentially, if I died, there would be a high chance that I would return as undead, as a servant to Volshad. So that was concerning. We had the priests looking into that, trying to wrap their heads around it, find some type of magical antidote for it. And then while I was in the valley exploring this temple of the Iron Empress, or I guess on the return journey from the temple, actually, we'd run into a Nalglyph, a enormous undead giant
who crawls.
Yes, this crawling, phantasmal undead giant whose mere presence afflicted me with some other sort of damage to the soul or some other type of curse.
It's literally chilling, and it's chilling to the soul.
Yes.
You're not quite yourself for days.
Traumatic. And so coming back to the temple at Miagral Keep, we've explained this to some of the priests here. One of them, his name is Kepik, a goblin priest who's kind of helping me out with this dilemma. And they've just discovered that Volshad's curse is now missing. It has been canceled, or however terminology we'd use. I'm no longer cursed by it, right? And the suspicion here is that why would a necromancer revoke their curse on one of their enemies, right? And so Brise knows it's partly because Volshad, right, thought of me as an ally, and two is that Volshad may not have any power anymore in the valley because of this new necromancer that's come into play. So, but that's not what everyone's seeing. So,
right,
we'll have to see if we can convince them that's the case.
So you had presented yourself at Lady Miagral's in-court temple to have this curse removed, not knowing that it was gone from you.
Mm-hmm.
Then when in meeting with these upper priests, Kepik being the highest of them in the court temple, They reveal that it's gone. You reveal that it may be because the necromancer herself has removed it from you, and that raises all kind of alarms with them.
Yes.
Um,
That's a
and
good way of putting it. Yeah.
and so they are holding you there. You're the gentleman you're courting, a young human man named Aldrich. He is he's there with you. He was there just to support you during a ritual he assumed would benefit you, and now here he is, outraged that they suspect you.
Right.
And he has basically raised his voice at these priests and said, "You're out of your mind. She would never betray you guys." And Kepik has, the head god priest has cowed him to a corner. Kepik is risen in power, glowing, and said, you will hold your place and you'll hold your tongue. You find yourself sort of torn between defending the actions of the temple and defending the man that you love.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you're the boss at Lady Meagral that you report to. A high woman named Athene has been summoned to get you to explain yourself. And tell us too about the religious politics in town, why this is particularly dangerous for Meagral.
Well, we know that some of the priests so we're at a temple in Meagral Keep, right? Obviously, all these priests are loyal to her, but in the public temple in town, not. We know that there's some strong dissent towards Meagral. So, if any of this news about rumors about one of Meagral's subjects aligning with the necromancer could reach the town, then there could be some damage done to Meagral's reputation. So, although honestly, it's Meagral's fault. She should have better relations with the people in the temple anyway.
It would certainly help,
but it is what it is, right?
Right. These are the cards, as they say.
Flips, as they say.
Right.
Open portals to other worlds.
Karandrin, they certainly do.
Open portals into ships, which causes them to sink.
Exactly. It's like the abuse of transporters in Star Trek, right? Well, let's just transport a bomb onto the opposing ship. There you go. That'll be done. We'll just put a portal hole in the bottom. Then, for the Dungeons and Dragons movie, the use of the portal mirror, that was the coolest part of that movie to me. I thought that was so clever.
I just watched that movie like 2 days ago for the first time. It was so good. My gosh. It was very, very surprising. I was pleasantly surprised at how much love and care and even just cinematography,
right.
Good. So,
I don't know if you ever watched the cop drama, or that sort of cop drama called Bones. Did you ever watch that?
No, I've heard a lot of good things about it, though.
Well, the guy who plays the psychologist on there, a guy named Sweets, he directed that movie, and he quit Bones to go and direct.
No way.
And then here he is directing this.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, clearly, I was like, this has to be a really good director, and that makes a lot of sense.
Certainly, he seems the type to have really enjoyed D&D.
Yeah. So I guess we're waiting for Athene currently.
Right. So Aldrich is cowering. You are trying to comfort him, saying,
exactly.
It's best not to face down the temples. We have to respect the will of the gods. Oxir will watch over us so long as we are obedient. But he is clearly just never seen magic brought to bear against him. Yeah, I know he had a spell cast on him once. I remember Doshrik cast a sleep spell on him, but he probably didn't even know what happened. Right, there was no visual effect of it.
Yeah,
and he was just out. Right,
this poor NPC.
Right.
We need to get you some hit points, man. You're
right. So he is almost inconsolable, and he can't look you in the eye, and you don't know if that's out of shame for his cowardice, or embarrassment for things coming to this point. But you're sort of kneeled down beside him and trying to help him to a chair and everything, and Capik nudges reaches over with his rod and just nudges you by the elbow, and says he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He gestures for a chair and demands you sit. I mean, sort of not demands, but is firm. So
I'll stand on the chair.
That'll show him. He says, Athene is fiercely loyal to Meagrol, more so than to the temple. Now is your chance to tell the gods all, to unburden yourself. What happened? How did this come to pass?
Well, I will tell them. So we need to figure out anything about what they already know. So they know that I countered the curse of the 4 wells. Okay, right. So I tell them while I was exploring the Temple of the Iron Empress, I should leave out that I know that the Iron Empress is Volshad. I think that's a important piece of information that maybe Athene shouldn't even know that. So, but I don't know. But like he said, maybe I should tell them everything because.
What's your trust of the priesthood? I mean, there's
I'm very trustful of the clergy, right?
Right.
Generally.
That's
but I also know
that
people talk, right? And
right. Let me take a look at your personality sheet. Just a reminder to everyone. Hey, Obi-Wan.
I mean, if I could request to talk with Athene in private as well, maybe I'll tell them all that I know and then draw Athene aside because I trust her, as an individual, right? More than this group of people.
You do tend to go to the clergy for advice.
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess if I tell them that information, what will it change about Volshad's, right? How will she discover that I told them that, right?
Right.
I think it makes sense to go into that.
Right. And just to remind people, Volshad, we should back up a little bit. Brise was having dreams involving a god of an ancient pantheon named the Iron Empress. Mm-hmm. And the Iron Empress was promising her stuff, encouraging her to do stuff, and so on. And much of what she promised did come true. But what we've learned is that the Iron Empress, at least this manifestation of the Iron Empress, is not real. It is a necromancer named Volshad who has trapped the soul of someone who had talents with dreams and forced them to project images of the Iron Empress into people's dreams and manipulate them, presenting Volshad as the Iron Empress, risen again, so to speak, right. Coming again to power.
Yes. And actually, you know what? I forgot about this facet of Brise's personality, which is my fault, but she was really upset that Volshad was doing that So it kind of makes sense that I would want to be honest about it and be like, no, this is
particularly to the priesthood.
Yeah. So I'll tell them pretty much everything then. I'll tell them that while exploring the temple, I had visions of this goddess, Wanbre, from the ancient pantheon the temple worshipped. But I discovered her to be an illusion, in my dreams by the necromancer Volshad, who still must be living.
And you presume you know the location of, right?
Yes. And I tell them that I think she was operating out of a village not far from the temple itself in the valley. And that I had an interaction with Volshad where she, I guess, how do I explain that, right? Oh my goodness. I feigned loyalty to the Iron Empress and to Volshad. And that seemed to trick her into thinking I was on my side. So it might have been then that the curse was removed. Or more likely, she kept it on me, but it removed the ill effects of the curse. There's another possibility. And then the final chapter, conclude with that on the way back from the temple, encountered another force, another necromancer, symbolized by a Penn household with a castle and a chariot, and heard reports that
Lord Hestus is involved in this.
At least his house symbol appeared. Lord Hestus.
I'll text it to you.
Hestus. Right. So you say that, and perhaps Lord Hestus or someone assuming the role of his house ousted Volshad, or perhaps
her, or
undid some of her charms, or her magic. And that's all the information I know.
This is an incredible tale. You expect Athene to believe this? Neocrawl? The village you speak of is less than 100 people. A crude wooden palisade. It has more flock than folk.
The perfect place, I add, for a necromancer to operate out of, wouldn't you think?
It is admittedly remote. Roll for me.
69.
You have a sneaking suspicion that Kepik believes you, but is trying to push you just to double check.
Okay. Then I just be resolute in all of my answers.
You say that the symbol was a tower and a sword?
No, a tower and a chariot.
A chariot, of course.
And I mentioned that I saw it multiple times, on undead Penn soldiers on their armor, as well as when the Nalglyph drew it in the dirt before me, clearly as a show of power or a demonstration of authority. Quinn. Nothing like a little 69 roll to get to bring Quinn out of the woodwork. Hope you're doing all right.
what would you, if it were in your power, what would you do about all of this?
Well, frankly, that's why I came to your authority here to seek your more wise counsel. But I think we obviously need to research this Penn household and this Lord Heshtus. And
Little research is needed in that regard. He's known throughout the Four Lands. Very wealthy, very powerful, one of the northern lords. He is properly a duke. If this ruling family should fall, his family would have a legitimate claim to the throne. He provides thousands of bales of wool, both to the goblins and to the accursed dwarves. Gems too, gold and silver his mines have. But he is the chief war maker when it comes to wars over the river.
So, just for my understanding, right, this was a Penn household, right? But he's talking about a house in Nargaz then.
No, this is a Penn household.
They have a legitimate claim to the throne?
Well, yes. Once you have held the throne in some forms of
Are we talking about the Nargaz throne or
no, the Penn.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. Can you tell me in our audience what is Penn a monarchy as well? The Penn nation?
Yes, the Penn clans are as a monarchy. It's in the northern part of the desert.
Right.
The mountains come down to a V, and this makes a very severe desert here. The only thing that saves it from being just outright unbearable is that the river that runs on this side of the mountains eventually empties into a sea. So the goblins took some land from the Penn on the east side of the river that was arable, and there are frequent wars over that. About one every 15 or 20 years, there's a war. The Duke.
Okay, so this lord is, very powerful lord.
So his dukedom, or unfortunately his duchy, which is how it's pronounced, is border that. I mean, that it's those lands he contests, with permission of the king and with the blessing, with the support of the king.
Right.
And land changes hands quite frequently, every 15 years or so. Less common among the dwarves are such wars, but they also attack the dwarves for encroaching and so on, because it's such a vital source of water for arable land.
Right. Fighting over water? Geez, that'll never happen.
I know. Oh, I learned the other day on QI was that almonds were the earliest tree domesticated by man.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, 9,000 BC.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So
that's also really far back. But that makes a lot of sense. Agriculture.
Yeah, because 10,000 BC is generally pinpointed as the start of agriculture, right? That's my recollection. That's the break between the Paleolithic and the Neolithic. And also, wild almonds are poisonous. Domestic almonds are the only ones you can eat.
I didn't know that. Oh my God. Okay.
So, Kepik, regards you for a long time after you've kind of told him everything. um, and he just sort of looks at you and nods his head very slowly.
Okay.
And
Do I have any more questions from him about Lord Hestus? None that I can think of. Well, I would mention that. Do I remember the Penn soldiers, if they had been here recently, right, to the Wanbrace Temple? I thought we concluded they had to have been there recently, right?
yeah, I think wasn't the number like 20 years ago?
Yeah. Okay. So I will bring that up. It's like, is there any record of Lord Hestus sending men to the, Temple of the Iron Empress, some in the last 20 years?
Well, there wouldn't be such a specific record. Really, what you would ask is like encroachment on Miagral's lands.
Right.
But I'll tell you now, just from your memory of where you are, you're sort of in south central Nargos, and your south, so to speak, is protected against the Pen by the dwarves.
Yeah, it would.
So they would have
for them to invade across. Yeah,
they would have to come across 2 to 3 other counties. They'd have to go through Algret. They would have to go through that woman we just met, who the countess we just met on the other side of Algret, and there's one other beyond her before you hit the desert lands.
Yeah, that is a strange story.
But remember, those Pen soldiers that you found, they clearly were lost.
That's true as well. Yeah. But that doesn't. There's so many questions.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And that's certainly a part of Karandrin is you do have to sort of resign yourself to the fact that it is often impossible to get all of the answers.
Right. Well, it's frustrating. It's just that clearly these people aren't going to believe me. Well, I mean, hopefully they do, right? Maybe Kepic's starting to shift, but I wish there was some connection I could make that would at least be plausible, right? But yeah, nothing seems to line up.
Right.
So we'll see.
You recall also that there was a Pen force sent against a mine in Miagral's
battlefield,
land.
right?
So if that dates from around the same time, and that I don't recall, we'd actually have to look that up.
Yeah.
Then it could be that those forces were one of the same. That was one of the advanced scouting parties. They got lost, but others were able to find the mark. And that would be a more targeted raid.
Well, no, I just looked up. So Shedral, our dwarven trapper, and he knows the battlefield was a tussle with the Pen about 80 years ago.
Okay, so that was 3. Yeah, so that was.
Yeah.
There you go.
A little too long. This is why I take notes.
No, you'd have to in Karandrin. It is a necessary evil.
I am glad he told me that, and I wrote it down. So.
Quinn, say straight out of Compton, yo. So, so the question would be then, it would be really nice to know what these later scouts were looking for,
mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's interesting, but
you
see how like, the importance of spies, right? Like, wait till they hear that Miagral's got contact with some world in another land,
right,
through a portal,
right?
Now do you send? And this is one of those again where it's interesting to see like the role of adventurers, and in a fantasy setting, you're trying to make sort of real and political and interesting. Is do they hire 3 or 4 very high level adventurers, go destroy that portal?
Yeah,
right. I mean, they can't stop. They can't move the portal. They can't take the portal. But here's a scroll. Get to that portal and destroy.
I mean, you're the creator of the game. You can make whatever spell you want.
Right.
Portal.
Right. But you see what I'm saying, right? Like it really just sort of,
realistically, they're not.
It does. It just works. It's nice to have the role of adventurers work in organically, where it's like, no, there's really a role for these people who they're sort of itinerant. They're
Yeah.
you know, they're
It's not like someone was waiting for someone to come along for this specific quest that suits them. Yeah, it's like,
right.
yeah, I need somebody really powerful right now to do this thing.
Right. And so, you know, they keep sort of, I mean, you guys are kind of fixers in
Yeah,
a way, you
yeah.
know, you have a unique set
We're
of
kind of
skills.
like a disorganized mafia, is what
Right.
I feel like.
Um, so, um, Kepik relaxes. I mean, visibly, he relaxes. He says, tell it as straight to Athene as you've told it to me. He strides to the door and taps on it with his rod. An initiate pops his head in. He's like, food and drink for our guests. Something strong for the human. And points to Aldrich. The initiate bows and goes out. Athene and the pin-born priest that was here earlier they both walk in. Athene's face is grave. She nods to the priest that has come with her and says, Ashler has brought me some very interesting news. Kepik rises, gives up his seat, but comes and stands beside you. Ashler is telling me that you have met with a necromancer. You are her ally, and that we can no longer trust you.
I glare at Ashler. That could be further from the truth. Maybe you should hear it from the person who experienced it for themselves. If you would allow me to explain my story.
Ashler slams his hand on the table and says, you cannot trust anything that comes out of that mouth.
Oh my God.
We are talking to the embodiment of evil. We are talking to one of its hands reached out to grasp Miagral by the throat.
I'm going to write this guy's name down and know not to talk to him.
Ask for relationship advice. I'm having trouble with my anger.
Well, what I like about, which I haven't done too much as Brise, but you make friends with this guy so you can just screw him over all the time.
Now you wish Crowlin were back in your life, right? Like, yeah. How do you feel about defecating in somebody's tea? Because I have a target in mind. Teabagging.
I know you can possess a rat, but can you possess a deer instead?
That's right.
Okay.
That's the wrong thing.
I'll let him say that and say, are you finished?
Roll for me.
50.
He glares at you with such hate, but keeps his mouth shut.
Do I recognize him? Have I ever seen him before?
No. Don't recall seeing him around. You know that there's at least a couple of pin-born families who live here. You recall seeing someone darker skinned, really dark hair. in soldier's garb, and you have to assume that it's their family who like must do some of the washing up. You've seen really loads, women carrying really large baskets on their head with linens and things like that, and going
Right.
into the back parts, and you feel like you've seen at least one other pin-born human within the walls, but not this individual.
Okay. You sent me the spelling for their name, and I really want to tell him straight to his face. Did your parents name you when you were drunk? My name's Ashler.
You have become a goblin, right? With the quips and the cuts.
I'm on fire today.
You're on fire. So, Athene, tells Ashler, I want you to go and summon 2 of the most trusted paladin guard. Send them here, and then await further instructions. Kepik, you were to remain. And she looks over at Aldrith, who was sort of nibbling on his sandwich, and Aldrith, and Kepik says he should just go home. And she gets an initiate just to take Aldrith home. So off they go. It's you, Kepik, and Athene.
All right.
Kepik returns to his position standing beside you. But after a moment, walks around you, pulls his chair up beside you, and looks across at Athene. Tell me what this is about. This is a very bad time to have public shame be brought to Mirgral. We have hundreds of guests. And while their friendship is strong, not everyone wants it to remain that way. What is going on?
Right. I'll tell her, the same story I told Kepik, kind of all the exact same details. So you can stop me at any time, right? Go over any of the details.
Yeah. She stops you when you hit Hestus. And she's like, Duke Hestus, and looks over at Kepik. Kepik nods.
I just tell her a completely different story from Kepik, and he's like, "What? Wait, what are you doing?"
Do you know that joke about the guy who gets pulled over, and he says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And the guy goes, "Well, it's hard to keep track. I've been drinking so much." He's like, "What? Are you crazy?" And he goes, "No, I mean, that on top of the heroin, the night's a blur." He's like, "Dear God." He's like, "Well, I couldn't drive slow either, not with all those bodies in the back, And the guy's like, "That's it. I'm calling for backup. Get on the ground." All this, right? So all the police cars come. Right, his watch commander pulls up, and the watch commander and the guy comes up again to question the guy, and he's like, "All right, open your trunk." And they open the trunk, and it's empty. They give him a breathalyzer. No alcohol. Give him a drug test. No drugs. And the driver's just totally baffled. What are you talking about? Cocaine, bodies. I was drunk. What are you talking about? I bet he even told you I was speeding.
Oh my God! What a fucking great way to get out of that. Oh my gosh! Was that a real story or
no? It's just it's a classic joke.
That's great. Reminds me of was from Airplane. Man, I picked a bad week to stop smoking, and then bad week to stop doing
cocaine and alcohol and murder.
Yeah,
man, I miss Homicide. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So So Athene looks at Hestus, looks at Kepik. Kepik nods.
Whoa.
She's continuing to look at Kepik. She says, "Did you not tell her?" And Kepik says, "I didn't. I wanted you to hear it from her." And she looks back at you and says, "Hestus hates magic." Is very public about it. Has avoided thus far alienating the priesthood by banning its practice altogether, but he only allows magic used in his keep that the priests have approved and shown to be approved by the gods, essentially.
Right. Okay.
Roll for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. 23. I'm trying to think of like the implications of that. Yeah, it just makes it seem more unlikely.
Kepik says, "Say you believe her. Just for the time. Say you believe her. You have got one of two choices. Possibilities. One, it's not Hestus, but one of his enemies, hiding his identity while simultaneously undermining Hestus's credibility. Or this has been a decades-long lie that Hestus has spun to the world. And perhaps his arts are greater than any." She says there's been no indication.
It can't be the second one, I say, because the Nauglyph drew that symbol before me on purpose, right? Clearly, they wanted to know, this power belongs to this household.
They wanted you to know.
They wanted me to know.
They want the world to know. And so, Kepik says, people think it's Hestus. You do. In the meantime, Hestus is called a liar. He's called a hypocrite. And whoever's really behind it gets what they want.
Exactly.
There is no spy I know who has ever questioned Hestus's hatred for magic, his deep suspicions of it. And you say now that Volshad and perhaps some other power are now stationed. We have that town's name, don't we?
Yes. And I forget it.
I thought it was on one of my pages right here.
I remember getting it mixed up with the name of another village, but
yeah, you got it mixed up with the name of the village where the Dreamcaster was
was buried.
Yeah, and where she was chief of their people.
Tiny village.
I always click the wrong thing. Crack Pal was drunk.
I mean, I also add that there is, if you wish to corroborate with someone else, that will be kind of difficult. The Eagles of Veshtar's clan also. I spoke with them, and we both saw, the evil in that valley, and they could hopefully confirm the sign of.
Kepik grabs your shoulder and turns you to him.
Okay.
And says, "You consort with the Eagles?"
Oh shit! Oh my god! I fucking forgot I'm talking to goblins. Oh, damn it, Kev. Man. Oh, no, that was such a rookie mistake. Oh man, I might need my miracle roll just to get out of this. So I say, catch myself and say, well, they held me hostage. Quite literally, they no,
I overheard. Look, this is deep web chatter I'm getting from the Eagles.
Oh my gosh, dude!
And that's the line I'm sticking to.
So I say, even if you don't like the Eagles, they have eyes further than anyone else. You have to admit,
they are flea-bitten terrors, ill omens. You're like, well, for horses, I can attest to that. I lost apparently a delicious horse. I don't know, but apparently.
That would be hilarious if I forgot his name. The eagle ate my horse. He's like, nah, it could have been better. Needed salt. Just like flies off.
Look at the chat. Both Obi-Wan and Quinn. They ate his horse.
They ate my horse. They ate my friggin' horse. They really did. Kind of hold me hostage for a time.
Hey, Obi-Wan, look how red-faced I am today. Isn't that weird? I think I'm coming down with the Christmas fever or something. I'm very red-faced.
Fever. It's from listening to too much Mariah Carey.
I just watch her on mute. No, I actually like Mariah Carey in other features, but Athene slams her hand down on the table, and she's like, "Can we leave the birds out of it?
All right.
Can we get back to saving our mistress's life?" We have had some indication that something was going on with Hestus.
Okay. Whew.
And she turns to Kepik and says, she can use the eagles, the falcons, the badgers. I don't care, so long as it is in service to Our Lady.
Badgers? What?
That's right.
That's even worse.
Giant badgers? That's a mediocre magic card at best. Kepik, you and I have spoken periodically about Fraldrum being away on her Eastern matters, on the desert affair. Someone is trying to undermine the House of Hestus.
Oh.
Now, that's always going to be the case. Fantasia on Christmas Carols that did it for you. So as many enemies as Hestus has, as many enemies as anyone has, it could be unrelated. But let's assume it's not. And let's assume someone has some powerful necromancer who has gotten wind of Volshad's operation, thinks it's a great idea, and wants to take it over. That leaves the two nearest counties bordering Hestus's to be the most likely candidates to perhaps undermine Hestus. That's what Fraldrum has been investigating. Now, when you were talking to the spirit of the Dreamcaster, the Elven Dreamcaster that Volshad has captured, and I'm asking you,
Okay.
do you recall if she mentioned what else Volshad was working on? Because if so, this would be a time for you to bring it up.
All she said that she was trying to get influence in Miagral's court, and she said potentially others, were in the works. But that's all she mentioned.
So here's a scenario, and I just want us to think about it. Whoever Hestus's enemy is uses Volshad to send dreams to all the southern goblin lords. Dreams that maybe foretell of an elven or dwarven attack. Mm-hmm. So that resources are shifted away from the pen, mm-hmm. and the pen invade. That's one scenario I can think of. Mm-hmm. Hestus refuses to attack. This other person rises into leadership, saying if he won't do it because he thinks it's foolish, I'll lead the armies. If it's a huge victory for that person, then there's a rise in esteem. Now, that's one scenario I can think of. Assuming you, Brise, have not gone completely insane. Talking to necromancers in your dreams. Turns to Kepik. What magic is there that can defend her from intrusion in her dreams? Kepik says, there's little in our arts, but maybe in the archives we can see what ancient tomes remain that might help. Mm-hmm. But is that really what we want to do? Every communication she gets is more information for us. Then you will find it, Athene says. If you have to turn this temple and the one in town upside down, you will find what dream defenses we can muster for Miagral. You, Brise, will try to find out what other lords are being influenced.
Before that, I do want to ask, why don't we speak to Miagral directly about if she receives any strange dreams? She should ignore them, right? Dreams of what we're imagining.
One does not go to the Lady of Granite and simply say, hey, be careful.
I see.
I will handle Lady Mia Graw's defenses as carefully as I can. Fraldrum would be much more equipped to do so. She has the mantle of authority over magical matters, where I am, in all honesty, simply a plotter. But there's no way to reach Fraldrum. And if there were, it would probably be too dangerous to attempt. Athene sits back in her chair. She rubs her temples. You will not be censured for this breach. Clearly matters were out of your hand, and we may yet all being played as fools. You are to speak to no one else about these encroachments by dream, your contact with necromancers, and for the sake of Kepic's heart, conversations with the great eagles.
Kepic just like flinches. Oh.
If the temple in Balabry gets word that one of Mia Graw's guests and agents has even been cursed unwillingly by a necromancer, then it will raise questions about Mia Graw's fitness to lead.
Wow, really? Okay.
You may not remember because it was some time ago, but like with the cult thing, you remember the cult, obviously the
right.
you brought down. That was a huge scandal because in Goblin theories of government and leadership, you're not just responsible for the defense of the nation and so forth. You're also a moral guide to your people.
Right.
Allowing that corruption in is a failure of her leadership.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Like even if it's impossible to prevent against such a curse, letting it be known that it happened could make people think of less of her. Yeah. It's like, oh, wow, I guess she's not as powerful as, or not as
she's not at least untouchable.
Right.
She wields a great deal of authority, but there is, and you've not heard the terminology for it, but there is some sort of theocratic process by which the priesthood, and this doesn't happen in other countries that you've ever heard of, the priesthood can appeal to the monarchy to remove a ruler.
Oh, okay.
And then, and it would remove the family.
Yeah, with that power in hand. Yeah.
Right. So that whole line would be removed. Their title would be removed from them. Their lands would be seized from them. And then it would either be redistributed or a new family would be assigned.
Why don't we change it so that we just impeach Mia Grawl twice and nothing really happens? I think that would be.
I like that. I
think that's a much better system, actually.
Despite the weight of evidence, the overwhelming, crushing weight of evidence.
Oh, there goes half of our viewers. Oh my gosh.
I know. Probably double our viewers.
So I ask Athene again. Well, at least she wasn't done explaining, right? I'm to investigate, she said, other lords to see if they've been influenced.
We need to know the names of other lords that Volshad or whomever is trying to influence.
Okay.
But you cannot do it. You have to do it with a feather light touch.
Right. Easy.
Although it does raise another question entirely, which is, while we can't banish you, is it best for you and for Meagall's reputation, that you're away from the keep for a while.
Oh my God. I was just away for the keep for 2 weeks. I don't say that out loud, of course.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, I'll do that if you host a few of my eagle buddies.
Okay.
That's...
So actually, my thought, which I'm not going to say aloud, is if I can get in contact with Volshad again, I could maybe ask her directly about what lords. You know, if she
why
trusts
would you think
enough.
if you ask directly, under what auspices would you possibly ask that don't seem suspicious?
Sorry, not Volshad, the Iron Empress, right? I want to spread your faith to more people, right?
Roll for me.
37.
All right. Well, that idea doesn't occur to you.
Okay.
But
anyway,
roast a few of your eagle buddies. Hey, this eagle's so fat that that's not the roast you mean, Quinn. I'm sorry.
This eagle's so fat he takes an hour to render in the oven.
It's a double roast. Way to go. That's pretty clever. What is it? Twice baked potatoes? These are twice roasted eagles.
Twice baked. That's great.
We should do triple baked. Like, find the recipe for twice baked potatoes, right? Which is a thing, apparently. I don't know what it is, but find twice baked potatoes, right? And find that recipe. Then find some delicious way to add alcohol to it and call them thrice baked. Huh?
Thrice baked. There you go.
Or marijuana. I guess you would
put some weed in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, because you brought it up, I'm obligated to do. When you actually cook potatoes twice, like sometimes the first time is just to like cook it, soften it up, and the second time is actually to like char it and like give it more flavor. A lot of times it's actually a lot better if you cook it twice than just once. So
neat.
Try you twice baked, once boiled, once baked.
Wow.
Yeah, even twice fried French fries are sometimes like even like crispier and more tasty.
Oh man, hook me up with that. I love that.
The magic twos. So
the magic two, the terrible twos.
Terrible twos. Okay.
So
I say to Athene, it's like, if you think that's, what you need to do, just give me notice, hopefully by a day, if possible, and I can see to that.
There's clearly just 1,000 things on her mind.
Yeah.
And she's, she just nods with her eyes closed. She's just trying to process.
Gwen says, want to give your potatoes that extra kick? Top them with Mary Jane instead of those boring chives.
That's hilarious. I thought chives was slang for heroin, but I mean, what do I know?
Chives? That's hilarious.
We're going to start. Karandrin's going to be the source for new drug slang.
New slang. Oh man,
I really only have 6 viewers.
Right. People start saying what we say.
That's right. That's right. John, my buddy Josh and I, we have this joke we like to dream about doing, which is to start carefully using a slightly wrong word, right? Mm-hmm. And just using it repeatedly until it catches on. Like, man, I was so mad I almost had an apostrophe. Just something, right?
Yeah.
And just keep doing it in conversation and just hope that you hear it again in your lifetime. My one success with that, and I love telling this story because it's really worth doing to your friends, is hash browns. Well done, Quinn. That's fantastic.
That's really good.
But I was talking to a friend. She was telling me a story about Samuel L. Jackson. And I stopped her about halfway through the story. And I said, it's Samuel L. Jackson. I said, everyone leaves off the second L. And I don't know why they do that. Samuel L. She goes,
you're really? A menace to society.
I'm like, yeah, it is. And let me tell you, There's nothing funnier than a lengthy story about Samuel L. Jackson, like every time. And I have that in my head so much that sometimes I will start to say Samuel L. Jackson because it's so ingrained in me how great that was. But let me tell you, Samuel L. Bean Jackson.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
I mean, it's just
second L.
It's so great. But
hey, should we take a break now? We're way past.
I'm okay right now. I'm
good too. I just
okay. Let's just keep going. We're gonna play to 8:30, guys, and we're gonna come a little groggy, a little foggy headed. So we're gonna make this.
You can't tell we're both a little distracted.
Right. That's right. It's
still in conversation.
It's the hash browns that Quinn serves up.
It's the hash browns.
The aroma.
Oh my god.
Did you know that hashish and assassin are from the same root?
No, and that's really interesting.
You got to look that up. It's fascinating. Because they were hashishans. They would be given the drug and said, go kill this Christian general.
Oh my gosh.
And they were high on it was to give them a view of heaven. Like, this is heaven.
No
this
way.
Is what you'll get. And then while they're on hashish, and then they're said, go, and even if it costs you your life, go kill this guy. And so, but look up just do etymology of assassin, of course, and you'll find it.
Wow. Okay.
That's
awesome.
So the Athene says, just to recap, right? She looks over at Kepik. She's like, any art that can protect us from people with power over dreams. Discreet research. Looks at you and says, report any other contact you have with Volshad, the Iron Empress, any of those actors. She said, we'll decide on the matter of your absence later.
Okay.
If you're going to be gone from the keep, I need notice.
Okay.
And she rises, takes a deep breath, doesn't look back at you guys, just takes a deep breath and walks out.
Is this a bad time to ask for my stipend? He still said I need to collect that from Athene. I'm like, later.
Money. Stipend.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So she walks out. I have a new assignment.
I have a devil of a time getting my money from these people. It's just, It's
always one thing after the other.
So you ruined Mia Graw's reputation by telling people that she just shirks her debts. Like she's a skinflint.
Right, exactly. Whenever people go to collect pay from her, she's like, "What are you talking about? I don't have it. I don't know what you mean."
My favorite, Quinn says his favorite etymology was where checkmate came from. Isn't checkmate from isn't that a synonym for condom? Huh? Anybody? No, nothing.
A checkmate?
Yeah, prevents you from mating.
A check, as in a check on. Yeah, that's I almost never use check in that form, but yeah, I know what you mean.
All right, Quinn, wow us with the etymology.
Yeah, you gotta deliver.
That's right. Check.
That's my mater.
Everyone, I don't even know. I mean, maybe. Yeah, we know. Yeah, Quinn. It's not from my tomato
Well,
garden.
you just said it came from chess. Okay, well there we go.
That's the
Etymology
etymology.
checkmate comes from chess.
That's
Excellent.
right. So, all right. So you you are escorted back to your not escorted back. I mean, the special paladins are released by Athene. Go about your business, and you rise. Wearily. Kepik remains seated. He has this long, really long, scraggly gray beard. I mean, it's really long, and he says, "She believed you. She just can't believe what she's hearing."
I tell him I didn't believe what I was seeing either. There are many, many strange things in this world.
Keep warm. You still may be feeling the effects of all that you faced. Have wine, good food, laugh. Nothing will help Mia Gral's reputation like you turning into an unholy creature in our own quarters.
So I do ask him, like, on the business side, is there anything you can do then for the chill from the Noglyph besides, what you suggested? There's no magic or art to help with that.
There is. But you were clearly spared the full brunt. And I would rather that you heal naturally and slowly than we speed it with magic.
Interesting. Okay.
But if you're not better in a couple of days, then send word.
Okay.
Where to now, sir?
I should find Aldrich again and, make sure, explain him what happened, everything's okay, all that good stuff. So
what time of day is it? I've forgotten.
They after lunch. They said they would have this procedure ready after lunch, so we have lunched.
Do you want to send word or do you want to search him out?
We'll search him out because I don't really have anything pressing right now. Might as well talk to him in person, especially since he seemed so distraught after what happened.
That's so funny. Both his anger last time, his reaction, when he was defending you, it was like two open-ended rolls. It was huge.
Oh, wow,
and then Ashler's reaction, his anger at you even being allowed to speak today, this session, I should say.
Right.
It was a double aught and then a 96 and then a 60 something.
Jeez. Wonder what his beef is that explains that, he's been betrayed in the past or something similar.
You are working your way out of the temple, pausing every now and then to ask an initiate which way to turn in the halls. Ashler is waiting in the outer courtyard for you.
Oh boy. Teleport past him.
Fireball into him.
Okay. Clearly he wants to speak with me. I will I'll give him the time of day, see if he's changed his mind.
He approaches. He holds his hands out and walks towards you. His body language is much more relaxed. Okay. Roll for me.
13.
Hard to read the expression on his face. As you near, he kneels and presents you a very decorative dagger with a tasseled scabbard. He says, among the pen, this is an act of forgiveness. I seek your forgiveness for my temper. You need only keep this dagger for as long as you feel the wrong. And once you feel that I have atoned, I would ask that you return it to me, as it is the dagger of my house. I overreacted. I have such a loathing for corruption to creep into the temples. I do not apologize for that, but I apologize for the way that I expressed myself. And his head is bowed. The dagger is up, above his head, held, and you were standing there.
Yeah. No, I mean, Brise's character, she's very quick to forgive, and she not very interested in material things. So I'll just, kneel down.
This isn't a material thing.
Well, that's what I don't know if it would be more respectful to take it. I was going to at least try to tell him. Well, I'll tell him first is that, I already have forgiven you. You're not the first person to, not believe my story and call me a liar. I've dealt with far worse.
Have you?
Well, yeah, I think so. Jollia, remember, he was considering killing me. This guy.
Oh, that's true.
He was like, if you died, it would solve everyone's problems. And I was like, oh my gosh. So
that's true.
So I don't know. I feel like it was kind of small potatoes, but I don't know if it would. I think it would be better to take the dagger or not. But
what do you take it and just give it back to him?
Yeah, no, that's a good gesture. Yeah, I was thinking. I don't know if that would be. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so we'll take it and then say that and hand it back to him. Yeah.
It's very gracious of you. And he refastens it on his belt. I know it is not my place to ask, but what will you do now?
I think it's a little too early to answer that question. There's a lot on my mind. But I'll have I have Mia Grawl and Mia Grawl's best interests in mind. Right.
He steps forward and clutches your forearm. He says, "It is not her alone that you must answer to." And he looks up into the sky.
Oh, okay.
You are endangering your relationship with all the gods. And there, you must put all your energies. He nods to you, just gives you another squeeze, and off he goes.
Obi-Wan, the eagle? I should have said when he looks up, I'm like, the Eagles? And he goes like, what?
Exactly.
And then he starts yelling at me again.
Well, he's Penn. He doesn't care what. I mean, I don't know. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting. It'd be interesting to find out what the Penn beliefs are about the Eagles.
Okay. No, I guess he has a point. Yeah, that's fair. I should maybe make an offering at the temple next time. There.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, you assume that they know what's really going on.
Exactly. Yeah, like the gods will know.
But you don't mind giving, making double sure, right?
Right. That's an interesting concept, right? It's like, if I feel, it's other people are uncertain about my action. Should I give money to the temple so the gods can help them see clearly, right? Is that
Right.
like a potential, train of thought? Yeah.
It's very interesting. All the little contradictory notes and notions within a religion is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, here are the Book of the Dead. I think we've already talked about in Egyptian culture. You get up there. It was a moral religion. That is it, as opposed to the Mesopotamians did as well. But there are some religions that have no moral component.
Right.
The Greeks, the ancient Greek religion had no
morality.
Right. But the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians, they did. But particularly for the Egyptians, you would go up and they would take your heart out and they would weigh it on scales. And the Book of the Dead was a series of spells to fool the gods' scales. Now, look, are they gods or are they not gods? And that's not saying, it's actually my problems with Magic the Gathering, them making god cards. And it's like, oh, did you destroy my god card?
Yes, actually.
I don't think you know what a god is. I don't think this is just a stupid concept in Magic.
But it is funny that we don't, our modern language doesn't have anything between human and God, right? Is there no, I guess angel, right? But even angels not necessarily are.
Sure, it's a servant of a god.
Yeah.
Literally from the Hebrew for messenger. Speaking of etymology.
I've always liked the concept of, like a god can be felled, if they can lose power. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but not in Magic. All you got to do is draw into it anyway. So he leaves you.
Okay.
Quite an interesting. It's sort of weirdly like makes you feel better about the clergy. Catholic was certainly, and not that you felt bad, but makes you feel yet better about them.
Right. They're quick to anger, but only because they thought it was corruption.
Because of their passion and their faith.
Right.
Good reasons to be upset.
Okay, so let's go hunt down Aldrich.
Yeah.
A bit of time.
So, not at work. Not in his quarters. None of his colleagues knows where he is.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
Maybe we should roll for how I feel about it. Do I think he's okay on his own, like he wants to be alone, or am I worried about him and should go track him down?
It strikes you in this instance. You're like, I haven't spent enough time around him to even know how he processes things like this.
Yeah.
Does he go for a walk? Does he go and throw rocks in the lake? Does he go get drunk?
Right.
I don't know where to begin. I mean, obviously you could just walk the courtyards and things like that, ask guards. Or you could head back to your quarters and just wait for him to come to you. Whatever you'd like to do.
Let's ask the guards, because I feel Brise feels like, let's find out where he is. I'm a little worried. Want to make sure he's okay.
Wouldn't hurt if you had some bronze to encourage.
Throw some bronze at these guys. Give a guard 3 bronze. Ask him if he's seen Aldrich walking around.
Thank you, ma'am. Out of sorts, I saw him. You're sure right to ask. and points you to a court back toward where you and Adabir and the rest of that entourage.
Mhm.
And you do find him there. Walking among the rock sculptures that the goblins like in that area. Yeah, I mean, they had that garden. He walks very quickly towards you when he sees you. Embraces you, actually lifts you off your feet. He's like, "What's to happen now? What are you to be punished? Are you to be exiled?"
I'll just tell him, basically what Athene told me, which is I don't know, may have to leave the keep for a time, but we don't know yet. For now, just keep quiet about everything you heard, and I do have another assignment. I tell him to investigate the matter. Investigate the matter more.
Bye, Obi-Wan. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye-bye.
How long are you to be gone if you're asked to leave?
I couldn't tell you. It's all depend on the whims of court politics, unfortunately. But I told him to give me notice, right, of a day at least, so I won't be disappearing suddenly on you.
They're not likely to honor that if matters are as grave as they say. What choice will you have if they come to you tonight and tell you to pack your things? I think I should be prepared to come with you. If you're gone for a month, 2 months, I can't bear that. I can do makeshift work. I can make a campfire.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. So, oh my gosh. If I'm okay.
So he will resign his position here.
Yeah, he would, right? Because he can't be gone that long.
Not without special dispensation from, Athene, intervening.
Yeah. Well, I tell him that, obviously. It's like, so you are willing to give up your work here, all the connections you've made, just so that I will, you won't have to not see me for a month. Are you sure that's actually how you feel?
Why don't you roll about how you feel about it?
Yeah, that's true. 76. I feel 76 about it.
You're young and stupid. You think it's a marvelous idea and just one of the most romantic gestures you've ever heard.
God damn it. This is when it's like, I know I need to play this 18-year-old character, but I'm like, no, don't do it. But you're right. Okay.
I mean, but it's not like he's a fool. Like he does
of course,
not, he doesn't see himself. I mean, there's probably a part of him that if he hears a cry in the ruins, then he will run in and save you. There's probably a little part of him that does that. Yeah. But otherwise, he sees himself as the guy who rents a cottage in the village that's nearest where you are, and he makes it a home, and he,
that's what I thought he was thinking of too. So I'm like, okay.
Right. So he said, even if you're just remaining here in the county, I can pick up work in town and make a home for us there. Separate quarters, of course. And we could see each other as time permits.
All right. Well, yeah, like you said, I'm like, well, that would be lovely if I would get to see you every night after being out in the wilderness. Coming home to that would be nice.
A hot, cooked, well-tailored suit. Oh, so delicious.
Yeah, honey, I couldn't make you any dinner, but I made you a new suit, and I'm just like covered in blood and like my arms like in a sling.
Drop my dice. That's eaten by a Groove first night out. Even the tiniest village, I'm sure I could do some wonderful things for them. Simply take it and barter chickens, potatoes, things like that. I can cook a little.
Okay. Well, let me think of the logistics. So, yeah, if they tell me to like leave, like you said tonight, right? I guess we should just be. Interesting. Well, I ask him then. I guess he could still have residence at the keep, right? If he left his position.
No.
Well, I'll ask him that. Yeah, it's like, well, what happens when I return to the keep then? And you will have forfeited your position. Where will you stay?
Well, I would do as I suggested if you were allowed to stay in the county. I would find a position in town.
Okay.
A room.
All right, I missed that. Yeah. Okay.
Perhaps I could learn to fish. Add some food to the table.
Maybe I'll give you a little spear training. Who knows?
Right.
But okay. So I said that's a lovely idea, and if that happens, then I will let you know, and we will do just that. I don't know what it'll look like, but we'll know when we get there.
Be
interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around a party of two people where one of them is just a tailor and my lover and is not an adventurer. That's
well,
interesting concept.
But it's what we would do with my role-playing groups. If someone had to bail out of a session, they would guard camp.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we would do.
It's just a very unique role-playing scenario, and it's like my head's like I tend to like think through like scenario, like what would that look like? And I'm like, I don't know what it would look like. And
right. They're just tending fire, gathering firewood. You might have to double up on rations. You may have to get used to rations since he can't really cook. And you'll be worried about him and so on. But you have disguised camp. And honestly, he really could just find some tiny hovel, abandoned or otherwise, and sweep it out and so on. You could wholly lock the doors. It's not impossible to do. And you could buy some basic supplies, like several lanterns, and things like that. Things to start fires, all that kind of stuff. And he just has a little house.
Yeah. It's actually very feasible the more I think about it.
It is.
It's just he's giving up a lot here, which is fine.
Right. So I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
So it's mid-afternoon. We'll have you having returned to your quarters. How about that?
Okay.
After talking with Aldrich, and if you're asked to leave for a really extended period, sounds like a month is about his limit, and I think you sort of agree. Like that's tough to envision.
Yeah.
And so we'll, you're sort of, here we are at the end of our last session with Brise sort of on the brink of a very gentle exile, with the political situation sort of being revealed slightly to us about the Penn Nation, the Desert Nation, perhaps
that is
horning in on the Iron Empress scam of the necromancer Volshad. And we'll see. But we also have the upcoming arrival of a god, according to this one very strange NPC's faith. And we'll see about that in the new year, because that happens in 2 days. You might leave yourself a note regarding that in big letters, because we're going to be coming back. So we'll be back January 10th on Wednesday, January 10th. I certainly hope you guys have a great year. If you think we've done a good job and want to send us some holiday gifts, then please do hop to donorbox.org /keep us streaming. You'll see the link there. Right over there. It's right there. Right there. And Max has his own YouTube channel where he discusses the role of music and original soundtracks in video games. Give that a look and a listen. You'll hear his mellifluous voice and his thoughts on such things. Thanks, as always, to Elliot Dunovitz for their terrific character art for Brise that we use almost every session. If you want to see more of their work, then please hop to ArtStation artstation.com /Tortolua. I've written a novel. It makes a great holiday gift, Halloween, Easter, any of those. It's called A Shore Too Far, and you can find it on Amazon. Max, what are your thoughts for the last broadcast of the year?
I got to say, I think it was a great year. I think I mentioned a little while ago, I think we did 40 episodes, 39 or 40, which is more than we had initially hoped.
Right.
For like 35. So awesome that we got that far. And I think there were a lot of really great episodes throughout the year too. A lot of really memorable moments. I think Verilag was this year, right? Like finishing off all that. And we had that one what would we do? Like a catch-up stream, right? Episode 100, right? Talk about some of the previous adventures. So do watch that as well if you're craving some Karandrin nostalgia during the break.
Right.
But yeah, we will see you next year in 2024 if the world doesn't end. And hope you all have happy holidays. Stay warm, stay cozy, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for everything, guys. See you next year.